Hi everyone, it's Alex here, and it's Sunday the 28th of February, and I'm sitting here waiting for my bride. We're going to have brunch like we usually do after church. And so I am taking the time out to do this really quick video on a topic that I'm going to touch on in my next video. And that is the abundance of coding boot camps that are targeting children. So I saw a Facebook ad last night to a boot camp that I commented on, where a bunch of parents were saying, should I get my kid involved in this? It looks promising. I did a little bit of research on that particular boot camp, and it looked a little shady. So I tried to encourage, and I won't tell you which one it is, but I tried to encourage the parents to not, do it. Let me say this, full disclosure. I've been a software developer / engineer for almost 21 years now. March of this year, as a matter of fact, actually August 12th of this year, it will have been 21 years exactly for me. So I've been around the block for a while. And so I say that to say this. When I learned how to do code, I was a COBOL programmer. Let's talk about COBOL. I was a COBOL guy, and for a couple of years I did that, and then I branched into VB script, and then working on VB.net, and then started getting myself more involved in SQL and C#, and then the list goes on and on, Java, and the list goes on. So I've been exposed to quite a few languages over my almost 21-year career. The only language that I went to college for was COBOL. That's the only one I took any formal classes on. And so all the other languages are self-taught. Some because I wanted to learn, and some because I wanted to survive. I have a family, y'all. The reason why I say that all of that is this. For you parents that are thinking about signing your young child up, because I've seen some of the ranges of these boot camps. Some of the ranges of these boot camps are from ages 6 to 18. And I've seen some of the prices and some of the offerings of these boot camps, and I'm like, yeah, that looks really shady. Some are promising to turn your kids into game developers in like 6 weeks or something like that with a certificate, and I mean, all kind of crazy stuff. And I'm here to tell you, learning how to code should come with minimal cost. What do I mean when I say that? Learning how to code, it used to be once upon a time that Microsoft, and I'll use them as the one company I'll mention, Microsoft, you used to have to pay for Visual Studio or Visual InterDev. If there was a licensing and you couldn't get it for free, and it was a lot of money and you had to pay for it. And some years back, Microsoft wised up, and they said, you know what? We need to start encouraging devs to code using our tools, coding using our language, because it just makes better business. And so eventually they started making Visual Studio Community and SQL Server Management Studio and Microsoft SQL Server, Express, and they started making a lot more of their code base free to download and to learn. Like right now, you can stand up a SQL server free of charge if you've got the right kind of machine and the right kind of space and everything else. All of the stuff that I do on my page that's in SQL Server and in Microsoft Visual Studio and in Visual Studio Code, I didn't pay a dime for any of that. Not a single dime. And again, I'm an experienced software engineer. That being said, all of the stuff that I've learned how to do with C#, with VB.net and all that kind of stuff, it's all self-taught. I learned all of that stuff myself, on my own time, in my own way. And it's blessed my life, and it's blessed my family, and it's helped me put a roof over my kids' heads, and it's gonna send, you know, my first child to college here in the fall. And so I'm speaking to the parents here. First off, don't believe the claims that say that your kid is going to be the next Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison, Mark Zuckerberg. Could that happen? Yes. It could be your child that could be the next big time tech, you know, conglomerate guru or whatever you want to call it. But the odds are it's not going to happen for them. And the danger that you have is that you'll turn your child off to any kind of coding whatsoever at all. And that's not what you want to do. Second off, is the IT life is the IT world lucrative? Yes and no. It comes with perks, and it comes with some things that you don't want to live through. Like, for example, I've had the ability to work from home for years and years and years now. So when COVID hit last year in 2020, I was already basically a remote worker for the most part. I have a laptop, I have the VPN connection, I have the ability to do everything I need to do as if I'm sitting right there in my office. And so I set up my office at home where I have 2 monitors. I've got that kind of space at my house. And I've had it set up that way so that when COVID happened and everybody in my family had to come home and be remote, including my wife, who's not a remote worker by any stretch of the imagination like she is now, it wasn't, I didn't really have to spend anything, you know? I had all the infrastructure in hand, but I've been doing this for years. Can it be lucrative? Yeah, you can make a lot of money doing this stuff. You, depending on where you live and the kind of code that you do, you can make a ton of money. I know actuaries that make triple figures because they're actuaries, but some of them do Python code and they're self-taught. And they didn't go to school for development work. You know, they didn't do any of that kind of stuff. So is it very lucrative? It can be. That's the pro. The con is that it can be a very stressful life. You're the person who has to know how code works. You have to stick to certain timetables and certain time frames. Your code has to be, depending on where you code it, your code has to be done a certain way. You could have people that are in charge of you that do not know what you're doing and telling you that your code has to be delivered at a certain time in a certain way, and they've never written a line of code in their lives. That could happen. It can take you away from your family. You can be on call. I can recall one time getting a phone call about 8:30 in the evening from one of my former managers, and she apologized, but she asked me to, and I'm there with my family. My wife was not happy. Or when my youngest daughter was born, the day she was born, the day she was born, I wasn't even on call. Was not even on call. The day she was born, 5 o'clock in the morning. She was born at 1:41 in the morning. And a few hours later, my phone rang. And then I didn't answer because I was asleep. My wife, myself, and the baby were asleep. And later on, when I got back into work, there's this nasty email about how I didn't answer my phone. And I wasn't even on call, So it can be a stressful life. That's just 2 stories. There's people that you don't know, that I knew. There's arrogant developers that will look down upon you because you don't know what they know. People look at a guy like Mark Zuckerberg, who, again, he reminds me of a ton of people that I've known over the years, who are they're the smartest guys in the room, and they look down on anybody that's not as smart as them. It just so happens that Mark Zuckerberg is smart and rich, and rightfully so. He earned the right to be smart, and he earned the right to be rich, but he just did not earn the right to treat people any old kind of way. So I'm gonna make a video about this later on, because my wife just showed up, and we'll talk about it another time. And so, making a video here. Let me show you. This is my wife. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. That's my wife, y'all. I'm making a video for my YouTube channel. So, I'll talk about this on a video that I'll tailor make for this, about whether or not kids should be put into coding boot camps at an early age. And I'll try and give my unfiltered thoughts on this. And it's not going to be to knock any one business or any one company for what they're doing and what they're trying to do. Because I'm all about everybody getting that hustle on and making money, but you should do it in an ethical way. So stay tuned for that video. I'll make it real soon.